It's the end of the year, which means we are looking back on some of the best and worst movies of 2016. Bob, what is your best of?
The best constructed film is this wonderful film we're hearing a lot about called Moonlight. It is a film with absolutely not a miss note in it. Very harsh subject matter about a gentleman kind of trying to find himself in this interesting setting of Miami, Cuba throughout his 14, 16-year period in his lifetime. But again, it's one of those films that just sweeps over you with so much emotion and detail that you just cannot look away from it.
I agree. This was the movie that I kind of wanted Boyhood to be like,
Yeah.
that I felt like it was leading up to, but didn't quite hit. Like you said, there's not a miss note in this thing. It is just a fantastic film from start to finish that you just can't stop thinking about once it ends.
It is, and it's a downer, yeah, but it ends on an optimistic note. It's just something you have to see to really embrace.
I agree. What would you give for your underrated pick?
My surprise this year is a movie called Tower, and it's one I have to thank you for because it landed on my footsteps, and I didn't expect much. I expected a Dateline expose about the first public shootings in Texas that became national attention. What it ended up being was this beautiful story about survivors told in an interesting fashion with animation and rotoscope, totally bypassing the assailant and all the details about that. It didn't get seedy. It stayed really honest and pure to its very simplistic tones. A brilliant film, 100% all the way. My total surprise this year.
To go with another documentary, OJ Made in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's about an 8-hour-long documentary. Some call it a series. I consider it a movie. It played in theaters, so I'm going to cheat a little bit with that. But it not only covers the OJ trial, but it shows the roots of why this was such a big thing and how this sort of changed America in general. And I just was absolutely floored from start to finish. It's well worth the investment of time.
Well, let's flip the coin on that a little bit. What's the worst thing that you had this year?
Oh, the worst thing. It was early in the year, as most worst films are. Zoolander 2. The first one was such lightning in a bottle that it came at the right time, post 9/11, and it really just was so off-kilter and funny that it was something that you really felt couldn't be duplicated again, and this shows that it cannot. It was not funny from about start to finish. It is just...
Lightning cannot strike twice. Huh?
That's exactly right.
Oh, gosh. All right, easy choice for me is Dirty Grandpa, but nobody involved with this film thought anything about it. That's why they released it in January, and they moved it out of the way. Biggest disappointment is a film called Keanu that came out, featuring Key and Peele, jumping from the small screen to the big screen. 2 instances I've had this year, Andrew, where I sat in a crowded movie theater for a comedy. Not a note, not a laugh in it. The other one was Keeping Up with the Joneses. They could be almost tag teams on this one. But Keanu, talented people doing horrible things, just a forgettable film, such a disappointment for these talented guys.
I think we are right there on the same level. To read my top 10 list, check out St. Joe Live in Friday's edition of the St. Joseph News Press, or go online to stjoelive.com.
And catch me on Tuesdays at the Friends Front Row Film Series at the East Hills Library Theater.
And join us next week. I will be reviewing Martin Scorsese's Silence.
And we're taking a look at Hidden Figures, a biopic behind the NASA industry. That's all coming up next week.
All right, until then, we'll be live at the movies.
See you then.
Happy New Year.